Good morning. We're here with just another edition of Candid Campbell. I'm your host, Brian Guzman, and I'm here with Dean of Students, Tony Campbell. Dean Campbell, how are you doing today?
Great. It's great to be here.
Great to have you always. So this past week in the Student Senate, it has been announced that the university will be taking a firm stance against the epidemic known as blackout in a can. Can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, we've been looking and following, like everybody else has, the effects of drinks, of energy drinks that contain alcohol, like Four Loko and Loose and many others. And we found that it really had, there's little that is safe about these drinks.
Right.
You know, when we look at Four Loko and you realize that it's one 23-ounce cans has up to the equivalent of 6 cups of coffee and 4 or 5 beers, consuming that is just not safe. And our alcohol policy, as you know, is really based on harm reduction. So how can we keep our students safe, and how can we help them be responsible when they're of age in consuming alcohol? And so when we look at the Four Loko and you look at the combination of effects that a stimulant has to the depression of alcohol, it really takes away the person's ability to judge, you know, and ability to drink it responsibly. You may know already at a campus in Washington State, 35 people were taken to the hospital at one party event. Many of them the police were investigating, originally were investigating for the use of the date rape drug Rohypnol. But really it was found out that it wasn't Rohypnol, it was the effects of the Four Loko. They were all drinking Four Loko. And it was the effects of the stimulant, okay, the stimulant keeping you awake and keeping your senses going, and then the depressant. So the combination causes the blackouts, the combination causes people not to know they were so drunk, the effects of how much they've had, and particularly with people who have smaller frames and less body mass, it can become very devastating. We had a young woman come talk to me a while back that she said she drank 1 can of Four Loko. She weighed around 100 pounds. She drank 1 can of Four Loko and maybe 1 beer after that, and she was out driving and she didn't realize, but her BAC was at 0.15. And so she was shocked at the alcohol level. Now, obviously she shouldn't have done that, but you know, people don't realize what the effect is, and that's why.
There are some concerns among the students that it is going to be quite a penalty for having the Four Loko on campus. Can you elaborate on what kind of penalties are? Sure.
It's a Tier 2 violation, the same as, you know, we put it in the same category as, you know, we ban beer funnels, we ban beer pong tables, we ban kegs of beer and beer balls. So it's in that same category of things that bring into context abusive drinking. A Tier 2 violation starts with a $200 fine, parental notification, an education program that you would go to, and also a community restitution program. Same as you would if you were drinking abusively in your room or at a big party. You get the same Tier 2 violation, same if you had any of those other things. So it's within our normal standard of charges. You know, I think somebody asked one time, do we have a Tier 4 violation? We don't even have one.
That was the rumor.
But the rumor was that, you know, we had a Tier 4. You know, we don't have double secret probation. Everything we have is there in the alcohol policy. So it'll be categorized as a Tier 2.
And what do you think the overall student reaction was when you announced this in the Senate?
Well, when I talked to the Senate, I was really proud of the Senate. They asked really tough questions. They asked, you know, why are we banning it as opposed to just educating, and what are we doing? And I tried to explain our whole idea of harm reduction and the fact that really this is a drink that we believe causes harm. And overall, I think the Senate was supportive. They understand that we're legislating what we do on our campus, and we have to have, the baseline standard is the law. But at Rider, we have to have a higher standard for many things because we want our students to achieve. And so if we just deal with the baseline standard, then we're not actually helping our students achieve. And drinks like Four Loko are antithetical to the mission and purpose of Rider University.
Right. Well, I think a lot of us do agree that it's very unsafe, and we're glad for you to clear that up with us.
Well, that's great. And I appreciated the student support because, you know, we'll probably put this into effect for the second semester. We're going to take this semester, and we've got a lot of good advice from the Senate, from the leadership of both campuses, from the General Assembly on the Westminster campus. We got a lot of good advice on how to educate, how to help people understand what we're doing, and how to do continued education even after about this, because these drinks are not going to go away, although I know the FDA is looking at this very carefully. But it's not just the canned drinks that students will make choices of things we can't ban. Like, we can't ban the sale of Red Bull, and people will go down and buy some vodka. That is dangerous. That's the same kind of thing when you mix those two. So what we want to do is ban, we want to ban Four Loko, but we want to educate them about the dangers of mixing energy drinks and alcohol.
Correct. Okay. It has been announced by the Student Government Association and the Finance Board that the holiday lights will not be going up this year. And I think students are also curious to know, how does Dean Campbell feel about it? So why don't you tell us your thoughts on the issue?
I think the student government took a responsible look at how you did it. And I think, Brian, I give you credit for doing that. And the student government took a responsible look. They looked at the cost of $17,000 for the semester and said, is this worthwhile? Can we serve the students better by using the $17,000 elsewhere? And I got to tell you that when I first heard it, I was skeptical. I said, well, how are the students going to feel? But then you did your homework. The Finance Board and the Senate, they went to different groups, they consulted students, they found out what was going on, and I think to deal with this as a pilot for 1 year is probably a good step, particularly in the current economic climate we're in. We're all making sacrifices, we're all making changes, and we're trying to how do I use my budget more efficiently? And I think SGA is looking at the same thing. How are you using your budget more efficiently? And I think those are real world decisions that have to be made, and leadership. And they're tough because you're going to get some backlash. But I think you did your homework, you worked hard on it, you got the input, and you made a decision that you thought was the most responsible for the money, and did it in such a way that it's a 1-year decision, not a permanent decision.
Correct. And I think that's definitely the question students have the most, is this going to be permanent? And we don't think it's going to be a permanent plan. We just think that it's a good way to kind of reevaluate what we're using the funds for. Do you have any suggestions for maybe alternatives? A lot of students have been asking what kind of other alternatives are possible to doing this campus.
Perhaps we can work with RHA and some of the other organizations on campus to figure out another way to make the campus attractive for the holidays. When you look at holiday lights, there are some people who feel offended by the lights. But how do we make the campus inclusive? How do we create a festive atmosphere, about it? And maybe the lights will return. And I hope, personally, I enjoy the lights. But I think what we can do is work with the student groups. Maybe we can do things in each of the residence halls. Maybe we can do something in the middle of campus. Do something on a smaller scale that doesn't cost us $17,000, but still helps out the campus and makes it feel more festive.
Right, absolutely. I think no one wants to steal away the holiday spirit.
No, I don't think so.
And speaking of the holidays, with Thanksgiving coming up, there's a lot of community service initiatives that many organizations are taking on campus. Can you tell us about a few?
Oh, well, the biggest one is the Thanksgiving dinner, which is a community dinner for the students and for the faculty and the staff. It really is a community where we collect baskets for Thanksgiving for needy families in the area. Last year we collected over 350 baskets. Our goal for this year is 400 baskets. And it's amazing, the need that we get. I'm active in several nonprofits in the area, with Mill Hill and Mercer Street Friends and some other places where our university has a lot of ties to those folks. And the economy has really increased the number of requests. People that last year were donating are now asking for baskets because of the economy. So it's a tough time out there. And what I like about our Thanksgiving baskets, not only does a basket provide the Thanksgiving meal, but it has other food in there for other meals beyond that. It's a little thing, but it does. Thanksgiving is a time for us to count our blessings too. And I feel blessed to be at Ryder. I feel blessed to have what I have. And I think it's time for us to give back, and a chance to give back always is a good thing for us to be thinking about. Along with that, right before that is the Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week, which is sponsored by the Bonner Scholars.
The Ha-Ha Week.
Yeah, there was some controversy about Ha-Ha until you realize it's Hunger and Homeless Awareness. It's nothing to laugh at. And I think that that is important. You know, many of us are just, we have our homes now, and I've met almost in the last 2 years about 10 different Rider students that are homeless, and their families, changed, circumstances changed while they were here and ended up becoming homeless for one reason or another, either a fire or maybe, they lost their jobs and they lost their homes. And, it happens to everyone. And it doesn't, with the economy and people cutting back on jobs and doing things, we need to be aware. We do a lot of wonderful things with Homefront that works with homeless children. We have a lot, our students go out there and they tutor those kids and give them mentoring and work with them, make them feel like they care and they're responsible for, that people care about that. The kids are not forgotten because they're homeless. And that's really important. I'm so proud of Rider University students because they're so active in the community and they really take the part of our value statement that leadership is derived from service to others as a real focus of their lives. Not only while they're at Rider, but you see it happening when they leave and they carry it with them. I'm so proud of our students for all we did. Last year we did over 30,000 hours of community service from our students. And that's a real gift to our community.
Wow, that is very impressive, and we're very glad that the students are taking this initiative and helping the community outside of Rider. Well, Dean Campbell, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and we will look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Thanks so much. I look forward to it.
Yep.
Take care.
Yep.